Me and my boyfriend had been living in the same apartment for about 5 years and had never had any trouble with our neighbors. But one day, that all changed. Our downstairs neighbors, a couple in their 60s, came knocking on our door and asked if we were making some kind of renovation. We were a bit surprised because we ourselves hadn't heard anything disturbing, but we said no, and they left. About 1 week later, the lady came back saying, "When are you going to stop making that awful noise?" And she even claimed having seen some kind of weird machine on our balcony. We invited her to take a look, and of course there was no machine, so she left. Next week, we saw a note in the hallway complaining about us making noise. We called the property manager and he confirmed that they had been making several complaints. To prove that we weren't doing any renovations, we invited the property manager to visit our apartment when we were away to check, and of course he didn't find anything suspicious. But still, our downstairs neighbors kept on complaining. And they also started banging on the ceiling or the radiators, yelling "shut up" several times a day. Sometimes it happened when there was a slight sound to be heard, for example, if I moved a chair or heard someone maybe dropping something on the floor. But sometimes it happened when I was home alone reading a book and it was dead silent, or in the middle of the night when we were asleep. They also claimed that we were running water all the time, walking around at night, doing some kind of illegal work, and that there was some weird blue light coming from our windows. No idea what that might be. And they also claimed that the only time the house had been quiet was during Christmas when we had been away, which they knew because they had started monitoring our car and when we had lights on and so on. Really creepy if you ask me. We tried to reason with them, but it was no use. So we contacted the property manager again. He said he wanted to help us but couldn't do anything because it was their word against ours. It seemed we were stuck. But then we came up with a plan. We went secretly on a holiday for a week, informed the property manager and asked him to check that the apartment was empty. We also collected receipts and testimonies from other people to prove we were away. And of course, our downstairs neighbors kept on complaining that entire time. And then we finally had proof that it wasn't us, and the property manager could tell them to stop harassing us. The couple still wasn't convinced. They claimed it was some kind of a plot, but luckily, at least they did stop with the banging, so it was kind of a happy ending after all. Though, I must admit that later on, when we eventually moved to another apartment, I was quite happy to be living on the ground floor with no downstairs neighbors.